Mitch, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, it's funny because
Hey,
you come in as Cena.
yeah, I've got to change the. I don't. It's a glitch in our system.
Oh, I believe it. Heather forwarded me a meeting once, and I went in and did the meeting, and they're like, "Why are you Heather Williams?"
Yeah, there
I
we
was
go.
wondering who you were saying Mitch to. I was super
I
confused
know,
for a
right?
minute there.
Yeah. Hi, Prem. How are you? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Christopher. How are you?
Awesome. Very good. We're feeling festive.
Oh,
Maybe our hats are just too tight on our head.
Yes, actually, I just put this on for the first time. I hadn't worn it before, and it was actually a little tight.
It's yeah, it was a little dusty. I pulled it out of the holiday decor, which I have not gotten out yet. So I guess this is the impetus to get that underway, I guess, again.
I got it. This time I'm painting. And Prem, thank you. If you see anybody in the waiting room, let me know.
sure.
I think I'm on the ball right now, though.
Yeah, it's a tough time of year. I mean, people are busy as much as they're not busy anymore, which is tough.
Well, this year it's been exceptionally different. I think Mitch, you and I talked about this the other day. Normally, from the U.S. Thanksgiving through the New Year, it's quiet. Our industry, like people really, they just back off and they take time off. And even if they're still working, they're just trying to do like catch up stuff. No one's really engaged in business development, or no studies are really launching at this time of year. So it's usually pretty quiet, except for this year. It's been the exact opposite, and I think it's all the COVID studies that have been running and launching, because we're still launching new studies even now. But all of the old studies, or the studies that were ongoing that were not COVID related, are they're restarting, and they're either restarting with the sites they had before, or they're scrambling to add new sites. And we've seen sites from all over the place, including Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody's scrambling, and the from about March, April, May. I mean, it was dead in terms of business development. No one was traveling. Everything was locked down. People were panicking. So I think on the biz dev side, we're all trying to make up for that lost ground, and so everybody's engaged. And I mean, I've even seen a huge uptick in activity on LinkedIn, because all of our industry meetings are happening. So I probably get 3 or 4 connection requests a day on LinkedIn alone, and in some cases it's industry people. Lately, I've been getting a lot of online marketers, agencies reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's embracing the tools they already had, but because they can't meet in person, they're all embracing this stuff.
Yeah, we see the same thing. Lots of activity on LinkedIn, and I'm sure. I mean, yeah, you get connection requests from people in the industry. You get connection requests from service providers, which
Mm-hmm.
is to be expected. I mean, that's fine. And
Yep.
then the third category, not as often, but they are fairly regular, is hey, I'm from an investment company, and either we want to buy you or we want to invest in you or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen a few of those as well. But my LinkedIn is just getting slammed with professional coaches, some recruiters, professional coaches, and agencies, and then of course a whole host of industry people. Yeah.
Yeah, the coaches, I forgot about those. I don't get a ton of those, but you're right. I certainly get enough to, you know, there are a few of them
Yeah. Oh yeah.
come along.
Yeah. So Mitch, what do you guys see changing next year? Do you think we're gonna snap back to pre-pandemic uh, industry, in-person meetings and all that stuff?
I don't know if snapback is the right word for two reasons. I mean, it'll take some time. There will continue to be safety related concerns.
Mhm.
And, just because we have a vaccine, we're not going to snap our fingers and say, okay, everything's fine. I mean, we all know that it's going to take time, and that'll be 2022 at least before that hits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in addition, I mean, this is kind of along the lines of what you and I spoke about. And this, I mean, I don't know the answer, but I think I certainly know the trend. The way we did things had to change. And so we've had a forced experiment, and things as simple as, do I need, if I'm running a company, do I need a, I don't know, pick a number, 100 or, 200 square feet of space for every employee that I'm paying for 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just one little trivial example, but things like that. In other words, the virtualization of how we work is going to continue because it's more cost effective and it can be pretty productive.
Mhm.
There'll be more in person, but there will be plenty of virtualization, again, just because it works and people demand it. And that will also, and again, this is what you and I talked about, that will continue to impact how trials are done. Because the old days of you sign somebody up and they go somewhere and you get information from them, whether it's blood or a reading or whatever,
Mhm.
that's just not going to happen. The world has changed. People don't want that. And um, there will be cases where that does happen, of course, but decentralized trials is certainly not a new thing. And the trend toward that, whether you call them decentralized or virtual or hybrid, that's going to continue. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We see the same thing. Um, there's in it's like with trade shows, industry meetings. Uh, they're canceled this year. They're canceled next year. The industry associations that are hosting them. Um, they're in a pickle too because they want to get back to the revenue streams they had with in-person meetings, and
sure.
we would like to get them back as business developers because it's always better to meet people in person. But as you pointed out, business owners have realized they can still do biz dev without necessarily being at an industry meeting, and it remains to be seen whether these meetings like a DIA or Scope or SCDM can actually afford to come back and do a full industry meeting. If they do, they're going to be smaller, without a doubt. And then they're even taking a risk because they don't know who's going to want to travel to these meetings. The first few meetings that go back in person. So
Sure.
it's going to be this huge, like a fast decline, and then maybe a slow ramping up for these industry meetings, these big ones anyway.
Yeah, it will, I will be curious to see how the meeting landscape evolves.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when there's a shakeout, the strong brands survive. So I would assume, I'm just guessing here, conjecture, but meetings like the DIA, Bio,
Mm-hmm.
ASCO, and the like, they're going to continue and be large and well attended. Whether they're as large as or not remains to be seen. But some of the, I don't want to say lesser or second tier, but they're just not as big.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas in the past, maybe someone would go, to several shows a year, looking forward with the rear view lens of working through this pandemic for a couple of years. It's like, well, how many of those do you really need to go to?
Yeah,
So.
right. Well, exactly.
Yeah, it's been nice to kind of get people just used to what we're doing here, because being able to see people's smiling faces, like people who have just joined us, is really great. And it's been really nice. Hello. From a project standpoint, I'm on the project side and the client engagement side, and everyone's just comfortable with it now. And it's helping those calls that can be difficult, or when you're working with a client, they're not sure what they want, and you're trying to work through stuff and you can't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a lot more comfortable getting on a camera and talking to each other, and it's making those things go a lot more smoothly. I think it's a really nice, it's a really nice shift. It's been forced upon us, but in the end, it's going to be good.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before on other Ask Us Anything meetings. now it feels weird to take a phone call
Hmm.
without a video. You know, you feel like you're half connected or something. Yeah. So this type of engagement is way better. I couldn't imagine if we had to go through this without video calls. It would be really odd. I mean, obviously there was a point in time where this technology didn't exist and everything was done on a corded phone, but we're all so used to this way of doing things that it's just weird not to do it this way.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an expert with office automation technology and the like, but I saw the news recently that I'm sure you saw it as well. Salesforce is buying Slack,
Yeah.
and I have not used Slack, but I've looked at it a couple of times just on YouTube videos or something like that. And if you take Slack and the competing product from Microsoft, and really the products are somewhat different, but they haven't, the percentage of the world that's digitized in terms of how it works is very low. The market penetration of those products is quite low.
Yeah.
So you talk about how things are going to change. I'm kind of building on what you were saying, Heather. Like having a Zoom call now is the way you do things. You don't just talk on the phone anymore. So when tools like Slack and others really start to kick in, you'll see it even more and more, because it's provided the impetus to drive it and get people to understand. Sometimes when corporations try to do things like that, they deal with resistance, and now it's like, resistance isn't an option. We have to do this, and it would be very interesting to see how that works, and then by extension how it drives out into the world we play in, which is doing clinical trials.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile, as they say. But it's nice because I think it's going to open up with the whole lean into patient engagement. I think it's going to open up a lot more engagement with patients, because patients as a whole have been through this and are more amenable. Your 70-year-old grandma who maybe wasn't comfortable with this before, suddenly, the grandkid bought them an iPad and they're now fluent in dealing with all this technology, which used to be a little bit scary. I feel like it's going to push that forward a lot from a patient perspective, which will be great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Malachi, with the work that you do, what are you guys prognosticating for next year?
In what sense? Like,
well, how do you think your technology is going to be put to use, I guess, or adopted? Do you think it's going to happen at a faster rate than it has been?
We certainly hope so. That's for sure. Yeah, actually, I was just reviewing kind of a Q1 white paper and kind of trying to put some different messaging out there for the things that we do. For those that don't know me, Malachi Bierstein here. Hello, my first meetup. Joining as I just connected with Chris after our last like real big in-person meeting, which was Scope back in February, which feels like 3 years ago already. Which is
it does.
But yeah, we essentially focus in on protocol education, but in an engaging kind of multimedia way. It's very different. It's not the death by PowerPoint. It's kind of like Netflix, except for science and protocol. If you find those things entertaining. So it's not quite as sexy as, let's say, the multi-million-dollar Netflix shows, but it certainly does the job and really helps to just get sites and study teams educated on the highest risk areas of the protocol and not mess up, essentially, be proactive and not mess up. And we've been kind of looking at how trial design is changing, with the pandemic, and it was really already changing, right? Going to decentralized, moving to kind of maybe remote virtual. It certainly has accelerated, and probably there's a vast majority that are now looking to kind of maybe only look at those models versus like the traditional, go to the site and physically be there and hold their hand, physically versus digitally and remotely. So to us, it doesn't really matter what path the trial design innovation takes, because fundamentally what we're trying to put out to the message is, don't forget that you still need a door on your house, right? Like, don't forget the basics, which is, yes, you can kind of construct the most amazing, trial and have everything kind of be advanced and digital, and you have all this innovation around how you actually are going to manage it and maybe do things remotely and have different patient monitoring and different devices that you're using. But if you don't train the people that are running your trials correctly, it's not going to work and it's not going to end up well. So I'm very encouraged that where we are in the marketplace, which is we're kind of a hybrid, half content company, half technology company, because we have our own platform that delivers all of this and it's all, GCP compliant, et cetera. So we're hopeful that it's going to accelerate. We're certainly seeing a lot of interest there. I think some of the encouraging numbers that I've seen recently are something like WCG posted 815 clinical trials are going to start in December, which is actually up significantly year over year from December of last year. So that's kind of encouraging because overall I thought trial starts were down.
Yeah, I mean, we thought they would be down, but it's been the exact opposite.
Right. But it's also people coming out, I think, and now, sponsors have been through, and I don't know if there's sponsors on the call here, but sponsors have been through at least, okay, now I've gone through my oh shit moment, pardon my French.
Yeah.
This is the meetup, right? Like, hopefully you've figured out what you shouldn't do and what you should do, at least in that first kind of iteration based on COVID. So now you can know whether or not your trial should be run, can be run, or the things that kind of didn't work, so that going into 2021, address those in the right way.
Yeah, no, exactly. Welcome, John, Pearl.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So John's from, hey, Yan, it's good to see you too. So I'll call on a couple people. Oh, nice antlers. That looks good.
Thank you.
Well done.
You all look like holiday.
I know, right? That's awesome. So yeah, we've just kind of been going around the table and asking people what their thoughts are for how clinical trials are going to be different next year and actually just going forward. And and Malachi was talking about proper protocol training and keeping people compliant and all that good stuff. There's what we're seeing is an interest in bringing all of these separate technologies together and then leveraging them to drive better value. So for example, when I was speaking with Malachi the other day, we were talking about using their tools in terms of protocol training to marry that up with risk-based monitoring and seeing, okay, if the site's underperforming, they're getting a high number of queries, you as the sponsor, the CRO could within one system see the training status of that site. And it could even, if it reaches a threshold, it could even trigger the Malachi system to actually schedule retraining. So there's this, we're seeing this need to start integrating these tools together, not just use them, but actually integrate them together. So I think that's going to get pushed forward quite dramatically. We're seeing it now, but I think through next year, there's just going to be this, more rapid adoption of those capabilities. George, good to see you.
So Chris, can I jump in for a minute?
Yeah, John, go ahead.
I just wanted to pop in and say hello and say happy holidays.
Thank you.
I'm from the Simple Trials team with Trial by Fire Solutions. We're happy to be working with TrialStat as a technology partner. This year has been challenging in many ways, but one of the highlights has been our new relationship with the TrialStat team. And so I'd like to especially thank Chris and Heather. Heather stopped by our booth at Scope in Florida. And I like to think that it was my colleague Milt and I that lured her in, but I think it was 100%. The swag. Pretty sure that was the swag. But we're very grateful that Heather popped by and introduced herself. And I think that that got us over to your booth and that started it off. So thankful for that. Great to see both of you and have a happy holiday.
Thank you, John. Yeah, no,
Good
we're
to see you too,
thrilled.
John.
Yeah, we're thrilled with our partnership. Simple Trials is I would say the best CTMS platform out there. It is feature complete, but also affordable and completely scalable and customizable. And we've embarked on a full integration with the Simple Trials platform, and not just because of the technology, but because of the people behind it. You know, we obviously like to work with people that we get along with, and right from the first time we met John and his team at Scope, we hit it off. So thank you so much.
And he does have the best swag.
He does.
So there's that. They were so lovely. I went up, I was specifically looking for a water bottle. It was a very parched conference. It was dry everywhere.
Yeah.
And I drink a lot of water. And John and his colleague were so lovely because they had these beautiful ones that I was pretty sure they were saving for someone special. And I was a random person who asked whether I might have one. And they were so lovely and so nice. And I remember going back to the booth and saying to the guys, we absolutely have to talk to these folks. We weren't even thinking about whether or not, you know, technology wise, we should worry about integrating or anything else at the time, but it's just cool people that were super nice and super friendly. And that's what you kind of want to find when you're going to work with a team. And in the end, it turned out to be very fortuitous that we were in the process of looking for somebody who was going to do what you guys could do with us too. So it worked out great. But so thanks for joining us, John. It's been really great working with you guys.
Thank you, Heather. That's wonderful. And you are special.
There you go.
Want to make sure that you know that.
They brought the cup for you. They knew you were coming.
So we're looking.
I kid you not, I use it every day. Every day.
It
has prime real estate at my house.
That's wonderful. Glad to hear it. Cheers.
Cheers
to all of you, and looking forward to many exciting things coming up in 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll probably see you all after the new year. Unfortunately, it's only 5:22 for me. I got to get back to work. A lot of things to finish.
Bye, John. It was so good to see your face. Have a wonderful holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, John.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays, everyone. Take care.
Bye, John.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So, George, I'm going to call on you next. George is from a company we've known, I think, for 7 years.
Yeah.
C3 Research, a CRO on the West Coast. In other lives with other companies, we've worked with C3, and now we continue to build on that relationship. So George, tell us a little bit about C3 and what you guys see happening next year in terms of clinical research and how trials are going to be run.
Sure. George Marino, Vice President of Business Development at C3 Research. We're a full-service CRO that routinely works with sponsors to begin with at early stages of development. We often insert ourselves or are asked to come in pretty much around the IND enabling study portion of the preclinical work that then we inform for the regulatory piece and sort of carry that forward on through to the clinical development piece from identifying sites and managing all of the services from end to end. I think like John, and I'd like to echo some of the things that he said with regards to the fact that we really like the folks at TrialStat. There's a really great synergy. Chris and I actively work together to try to position our organizations in front of clients and sort of create dynamic relationships between TrialStat team C3 and the prospective client on specific projects. So, really happy to be here and share this happy hour. I guess this is what you're calling it, Chris, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really, I didn't know that. I need to get a drink.
You can definitely go take a minute and grab a drink for sure.
Segueing is perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely. I'm
Good to see you.
Yeah, I think I caught Heather. I caught Heather drinking some wine. I said, okay, this is what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
It's toddy hour for sure, my friend.
Yeah.
So I'll show you because I have it here.
Oh, Christopher got the best. His kid is amazing. His son is a boss.
So it's a beer advent calendar.
Okay.
And I have successfully consumed all 16 so far.
On the first night.
Hopefully.
Well, I will admit one of them got consumed at the very early morning hours of the day. So this one, the 16th, is actually a milk chocolate stout.
Okay.
Yummy.
Is
Yeah.
that something that you got to yourself, Chris, or is that a gift from someone else?
It's that, oddly enough, it is from my son.
Okay.
He knows me well, so
Great. Great. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, 2021, but the only prediction that I can make is that it's not going to be what we expect it to be, right? Every quarter we see things, not going back to normal, sort of creating new dynamic that we have to deal with. But we're very positive. We've been able as an organization to weather a lot of the storms that have happened over the 2020 span with the pandemic and all that it has offered us, and we've grown as a result of it, right? We've switched our model to sort of what we always were, because we were always sort of a technology CRO in respect to the fact that we don't have brick and mortar locations. We are decentralized. We like to refer to ourselves as decentralized, and we've always had a commitment to technology to bring us together. The bosses, the founders, they started the company in a kitchen table over 12 years ago. And that's the last office that we had ever since going completely.
oh, is that right?
Yeah. And so in that regard, we haven't had to make these huge adjustments like a lot of our competitors and other organizations have, where, business as usual meant checking into an office and, doing the work alongside your cohorts. And so in this regard, I think we've been able to sort of adjust very well. It's now just sort of finding where the opportunities are and where the growth are and where the development is happening. That's, I think, what we're really laser focused on. So we're looking forward to. I don't know if anyone's attending the Biotech Showcase virtual meeting. If anybody has any thoughts about that, but that's going to be the first year. It runs alongside the JP Morgan, and it's that San Francisco International show that you tend to see people from all over the world. Well, it's gone virtual, and that's sort of our first big thing that we're going to be doing the second week of January.
Yeah, they're all, and not only are they all virtual, but I have noticed there's a lot more of them.
Yeah, and some do it better than others, though. So I'm hoping that the Biotech Showcase does it well. We attended the Bio International. That was the first virtual big conference, anyways, that we attended virtually, and that one went really well. So we have high hopes for this next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone attending that?
We haven't signed up for it. No, not yet. There's the list that we're vetting right now is huge.
Yeah,
and
me too.
More so than ever, we're having to vet them from the perspective of, we used to say, exhibit, attend, or be in town for. And there's no exhibit unless it's virtual, and if it's virtual, we haven't seen the value yet.
Yeah,
a lot of them we're just going to be attending, and then even then we're looking at the cost. Right, because as you pointed out, some of the events that they're organizing from a business development perspective aren't that great yet. They have
all about the platform they chose, and some of them have been not lovely.
Yeah.
I think it for us it comes down to, do they have a partnering platform? Do they actually segment the interactions in a way where it's not just you attending some kind of lecture, and then there's sort of voluntary happy hour sort of thing? Those, I think, have not gone well, or voluntary network sort of thing. But where there's a platform in play, and where folks have to vie for meeting slots 15-30 minutes at a time, I think those have gone really well. And I've always been a big proponent. I don't know what you guys think, but I've always been a big proponent of, we're so busy nowadays, and technology is allowing us to do so much more work that folks are struggling to just get out and have a cup of coffee with you these days.
It's true. Yeah.
And so now, with this environment going so virtual, I don't know if a lot of people are going to want to go back to having to actually leave the office or go to an office to get things done.
Nope. Yeah.
But I definitely want to go meet up at a coffee shop. That's for sure.
I think I would always want to meet up at a coffee shop, but I think, and people will be starved for that, won't they?
They will. Yeah. I'm going to segue for 1 second to Nick. Nick, thanks for joining. Nick is with Fujifilm, and like with Simple Trials and a lot of our other partners, we've done a lot of work with Fuji this year, and we're really grateful for the team there, and really look forward to more and more projects with you guys next year. Nick and I and a subset of our team have been for the last probably 2 months almost on a daily call.
Since September.
In September, yeah, a
It
daily.
seems like much longer than that.
Yeah. And
It's nice to put a face to the name, Nick. Hi, I'm Heather. I work with the team, but we haven't actually had a chance to talk, but I've heard your name on more than one occasion, and
I'm sure my name has been mentioned in vain more than once.
all good things over my desk anyway. So
we have a partnership with Fuji, but we just finished the first phase of of our first project, and talk about technology. None of us have met in person. We did a project for a French pharma company who needed to aggregate all of their imaging out like from their core lab, and then be able to use web-based viewers to read and review those images, both internally at the pharma company, but also with their external partners. And we deployed the Fuji VNA, the Synapse 3D viewer, and their pure Synapse mobility viewer into an Microsoft Azure data center in France. Tested it all, did all the meetings.
Which we never did before, by the way.
Yeah, one Fuji had never done that before. Two, none of us left our home offices to do all of this work. Like zero. There was no one went on site anywhere to do any of this. It was all done through the internet.
Chris, I never left my chair.
Yeah, actually, I'm wearing mine out. Yeah.
No, it's really great. Thank you for letting me crash your Christmas party, by the way. It's a pleasure to
You're welcome.
see all of you and to hear what's going on in your organization. So thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and again, we're looking forward to many more projects. The VNA, the Vendor Neutral Imaging Archive from Fuji, it's letting us do a whole other set of capabilities with images, not only within a clinical trial, but post trial, in aggregating that imaging in our data warehouse, and then creating whole new user experiences around that data. So we're now in discussions with some of the largest med device companies in the U.S. and Europe, because they have the devices that create the medical imaging, but now they're looking for ways to create new value and new experiences, new revenue streams through their technology. And going sort of from being a hardware company to a services company is a big pivot. And so a lot of these med device companies are leaning on partners like Fuji and TrialStat to help bridge that gap and help them make that switch a little more easily. So it's very exciting, the conversations we're having right now.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris. And the fellow on my team who is the technical guru, if you will, is working with a person on your team named Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they haven't, aside from seeing each other on a Zoom session like we're having right now, never met each other in person, but just conducted all their work online just from talking like this.
Mm-hmm.
And what they accomplished together for like I said, the first time in installing our product in the Azure environment was a little scary. Required a little bit of troubleshooting, but it was all done with just an online reference point, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I can't believe I forgot, but the client wanted it done in 8 weeks. 8 weeks? Can't do math.
We did it in 6, I think. We did it in 6 weeks.
6. Yeah.
It was fast. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, a lot of late nights, but great teamwork. And like I said, like with all the partners, we have to find people that we can work with on a personal level. And if you can't get along with someone, you can't do a 12-hour day with them. It's just not going to happen.
That's a great point.
I want to work 12-hour days, but sometimes you have to. And
it was great hitting it off with you guys. Just seemed like hand in a glove.
Yeah.
It just seemed really, really comfortable. Real pleasure to meet you guys and to work with you. And I think going forward, it's going to be some exciting opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nick.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, guys. So go ahead. Enough
So-
of this. Continue with your holiday festivities. And
Awesome.
I brought my, libations here. You can't see it. Well, there it is. There. My Zoom
there.
thing. It's an invisible glass.
Invisible beverage.
No, it's not. It's red wine. It's red wine.
Nice. Pearl, you've got your wine as well.
Yep, we're all set.
I'm gonna call on Pearl just for 1 second. I'm putting you on the spot. Pearl, you in our last meeting started offering lunch meetings with your prospects. How is that going? Tell us how you did it. Because I'm impressed. Heather mentioned this once to me, and I was like, who's gonna do that? But you're actually doing it.
Yes. So, hi, everyone. My name is Pearl. I'm the business development manager for Pilatus Comparator Solutions for North America. I'm based out of Irvine, California. I moved here about 5 months ago now from Philadelphia. So I'm very happy because I hear that they have about 1.5 feet of snow right now. Yeah.
You don't
I'm
have to
lucky.
hear.
Lives in
You
Philly.
don't have to
lucky.
hear. This is Mitch. I'm in Philadelphia, and it's snowing like hell outside.
Oh man, stay warm with your drink. But yes, just with regards to lunch meetings, as Chris mentioned, during the GCSG conference, that was my first virtual conference that I'd attended like throughout the pandemic. And for me, I was just really trying to troubleshoot how to engage with people because we had, it was, I thought, in terms of like a user-friendly kind of platform, the platform that GCSG had was wonderful. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like as a vendor, as someone who had a booth, it was challenging getting people to visit our booth and stay. And it's just, for me as a BD person, I excel in the lunch lines. Like at real conferences, like, oh, I'll ask someone, oh, can you pass me the butter? What do you think about the fish? That looks fishy to me. Like, I am the queen of those. So I was really trying to be creative in terms of how to engage people, get them to actually talk to you. And for me, I found just offering virtual lunch meetings where I set up, I engage with someone that was a really good like hook in terms of the IMs, like opening with something free. Like we all know swag is what gets people to our booths. Mm-hmm. So what I was able to do is connect with several clients, and it's been really successful over the past few months, and just offer up to order for them their favorite local lunch. We have Uber Eats, there's Grubhub, there's everything. So I just asked them, tell me your order. How long in advance do I need to order it for this meeting time? And what was great about it is their mouths were full, so they just wanted to listen. So it was.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's been really great
Pearl.
for me.
And even for contacts that you don't know very well.
I did. And honestly, like if you think about it, like when people are nervous, they eat also. Like you eat, you grab your drink. So it actually, like for me going into GCSG, like I had a target list, and it was people. This was a successful means of connecting with like cold leads. So that was like just offering up that free meal really worked, and it just, it got someone to commit. It would be really hard to stand someone up for a meeting when they're sending food.
They're literally sending food to your house, and you have to go to the door. The shame is not okay.
Yeah, if they're standing you up, you could just message the driver, spit in the food. Just kidding.
Right, Pearl? I'm assuming we do a little bit of that when we've not done this, but when we're gonna take someone out for lunch, we know who we're talking to. They're the right person. We know that they're at the right company. We know that there's maybe some kind of published materials that is signal that they're doing the kind of work that we want to do for them. You can do all of that just the same, right? There's no switch from that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I found like just doing that little, like just going that extra mile, like just doing something like this, people do want to talk. And for me, what I found is just maintaining genuine interest. So I had a call with clients, and with 5 minutes, like they expressed that they didn't need any comparator products for their study. We'd supplied them, and we stayed on the whole call, like just asking them about the time, checking in, engaging, being interested, just like those simple, like it doesn't always have to be business when you're talking to people. And I know like we want to push ourselves and be productive, especially because we're home. But that genuine interest and staying on and having just like a call, what are the COVID numbers like in your area? Like everyone could go on and on like about a topic like that. And within 2 hours, they circled back and realized, oh, we actually need more product because of COVID delays, and our study will potentially be extended another 2 years. So yeah, I've just found like just being creative and engaging in different ways like that, and just listening like it's been very like fruitful and productive for me.
Would you really be able to keep him on a call for 2 hours? Really?
Oh no. No, that was 30 minutes, 30-minute call.
I misunderstood. Sorry.
Oh no. Oh no. So they circled back a couple of hours later after the call.
Okay.
But it was I try to keep it like 30 minutes, like past
Gotcha.
that. Yeah.
If you for 2 hours, you'd have to buy them dessert too.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm a big guy. I like to eat. You could probably have more than one lunch a day.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great idea, and
Congrats.
we're definitely going to try it.
Yeah.
I like the guilt angle of what you did.
Brilliant.
That's really good. You
progressive.
bought him lunch. I got to stay and listen to this for at least 30 minutes,
Yeah, at least that's the least. And hey, it's the least we can. I'm doing something for you. This is, it is a business call. So if you're going to give me your time, why not feed you? You got to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, but the question is, so of all those sessions you conducted, how many hot leads did you get from it?
I'd say out of the conference, it was 5. And that was really me pushing very hard to like IM. And then it's like, okay, they're online. I see they're on LinkedIn as well. Let's hit them at both angles. So in terms of, we might have an MSA coming in Q1 from a very big pharma company out of that. So in the grand scheme of things, like even if they're ordering like Fleming's, it still doesn't, it's not comparable to what we'd spend on a flight, a hotel room.
So dinner for 2, like lunch for 2.
That's it. You can do so much more with that sort of remote engagement, and it's transactional in what it is, but it's personal in the engagement point that you're at. So it's great.
It's ideas like that where where Pearl, you're trying to replace what you used to do in person and get the same level of sort of commitment from someone. It's going to take ideas like that and many more of them for us to be successful at selling remotely. My example of how it used to work in the in-person world at Scope, but for months I was trying to get a meeting with Lori Halloran from the Halloran Group, and
she's tough to nail down.
She is, isn't she, right? But fast forward to Scope, I think I bothered her enough that she agreed to meet with us at our booth, and like Pearl and like Heather, I'm naturally chatty, so I'll talk to anybody. Get in the elevator, you talk to people, and to be honest, when you're at an industry event, those could be clients. Like you have no idea who anybody is. So on the day of the meeting with Lori, probably about an hour before, I had to go back up to my room to get business cards, and in the elevator on the way down, a guy, I think he was wearing like a tracksuit, got in the elevator, and we just started chatting. And he said, you're here for the event. And I said, yeah, we're having a good time, good meeting. And I said, I'm just going down for one more in-person meeting. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm here with my wife. I usually travel with her for her meetings. Her name's Lori. And I was like, Halloran? And he's like, yes, Lori.
How do you know my wife?
Yeah. I can't, unfortunately, I can't remember what his name was. I should, but I don't. But I was like, that is just astounding because your wife is whom I'm meeting with right now. And then I told Lori, and then a couple weeks later she emailed me back. She's like, yeah, I was talking to my husband. We were laughing about it. So that's the level of serendipity that we can't just find without being in-person meetings. So it takes us meetings like this to create meetings like this where we can connect with people. And I see this kind of thing happening more and more frequently next year and even into 2022. We're going to have to work at creating opportunities to meet people virtually until we can start traveling and doing more local events and things like that.
I think by the time our industry hits their stride with utilizing technology and connecting genuinely with technology, things will go back to normal.
Yeah.
Go back to business as usual. Pearl, I'm also in the Irvine area. I'm actually in Costa Mesa, one town over from you.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty cool.
Coffee?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay.
I will say to you, though, that you'll know you're a Southern California once you're here long enough when you want to go back to the snow to vacation as opposed to leaving the snow for vacation.
Exactly.
Guys,
This is my first try.
I'm sorry. I have to excuse myself. I'm dinner's on me, and so I have to get to that. But
No worries.
Lovely seeing you guys and getting to know you guys, and Merry Christmas. Happy
Nice to meet
holidays,
you.
Happy Hanukkah.
It was nice to see your face, George. Thanks for
Yeah,
stopping by.
Thank
It's
you
great
so
seeing
much
you.
for
I've
everything.
seen you so long. Take care,
I
guys.
know.
It's been too
Bye,
long.
George.
Bye, George. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Chris, I think in Pearl for sure, like I love that idea. I'm, even I haven't been overly exerted on this one talking. I've been like everybody else on Zooms all day, and I naturally sound like I smoke a pack of cigarettes every day. So like after talking on the phone all day, like my throat gets really like I'm constantly drinking coffee or something. But I actually didn't come from the life sciences background. I actually have come from more the digital media entertainment world from the content perspective, because primarily what science media does, we create media that's scientific, and we're like an extension of the clinical team, but essentially the core product is content. It's really high quality content, and that we need to create it the right way and then deliver it the right way. A lot of back-end system integration and pieces. So coming into this role, I've been in this role about a year. One of the reasons why I was willing to take it is because I'm a very naturally, like you, Pro, very like I'll go connect with anybody in line in an elevator, like I'll and not forceful, like professionally persistent is how I like to describe
Friendly.
myself.
Yeah.
I'm friendly and just kind of like connect and like try to find some other reason to connect personally with people, not necessarily just you got to know when to sell and close and all that.
Yeah.
But with COVID, I felt like it was like kryptonite to some extent, because now in this new industry where I actually don't have a huge network, and I'm in San Diego, which has a huge pharma, industry and lots of connections, I wasn't able to now go and have coffee and go have lunch and go have drinks and go have dinner and all the things that is your normal wheelhouse of like, they're not going to want to jump on another Zoom call with someone that they don't know if they don't know that they need to get on there. But very easily in a normal, regular working environment, an excuse to go meet up with somebody who maybe you don't know about, and they're going to buy you a drink, and it's an excuse for you to kind of take a break from your day-to-day life. That doesn't exist anymore. I actually had been toying around recently with, what if I offered to send them a bottle of wine and we do a virtual happy hour?
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I didn't know how to approach it. So, I mean, Pearl, I would love to pick your brain on how to, like, I don't even know how to go about exactly, like, it feels like, would that be absurd? Like, or would people be like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever? I don't know.
The first word in the subject line is complimentary.
Okay, that's a good tip. No, that's a good tip.
This down.
Yeah. And then I just, for me, I introduce myself, let them know, like, just obviously we know we have to keep it short and sweet. And then the way that I just wrap it up is I close with, I'd like to get to connect with you more over your favorite local meal or over happy hour. Like if you open with like just talking about COVID and how we can't meet together in person, I'd like to supplement this happy hour by sending you a bottle and then we can crack it open together virtually. So just kind of bringing in the current times and just letting them know that it's a conversation I'd like to have. Like at least you'll have some sort of, whether it's a drink or a meal. It's something that we're doing anyways. And if we're both getting something out of this, that's a way that, we can just make great use of our time and people won't think of it as much as like, okay, like for the lunch meetings, I don't do PowerPoint. I'm having a conversation.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
that
don't
makes
want,
total sense.
yeah. So just when you pose it that way, my response rate went up by a lot.
Yeah. You're like, look, no pitch, no demo. Like, no, let's just catch up and
Exactly.
talk about your calendar.
When I was a single guy before I met my wife, I had a 3-date rule, right? And on the first date, you don't talk about religion or politics, right?
A good point.
So I mean, that you try to talk just about enough, you keep it real cool, but then just leave enough of interest so that you want to meet them, presumably, and they would like to meet you for a second date, So you don't spill everything out in the first date.
No, you gotta leave them wanting more. They need to answer questions.
Because we are courting them.
After the third date. That's a whole different, that's a different thing. We're not going to talk about that. But I'm just saying, there's the graduated process, right?
Well, exactly, yeah, and
For sure.
And especially now, like when we did meetings in person, you could literally interrupt someone walking down, the aisle of the trade show floor. Some would be annoyed. Most people are okay with it, but here, there's, you're totally at their mercy to accept an incoming call or message from you. That's the difference, and it's subtle techniques like these that'll help us all actually do more business next year. And I think,
and the fact that everybody's on social more gives a lot more inroads. I'm not on the business development side anymore. I was for many moons. I'm now on the operational side. But, back in the day, I mean, had great conversations with folks from something they randomly tweeted on Twitter, something that they randomly mentioned on LinkedIn. And I mean, everyone's kind of craving that. So if you give somebody a window of opportunity with a little incentive, like Pearl was saying, yeah, people are pretty amenable to it. I mean, now I'm not selling anything per se, but anybody I've reached out to that I've met previously in person over this last year while we've all been offline has been more than happy just to have a call and shoot the shit about what's going on in their world.
Yeah.
People are missing that stuff. It's a great opportunity, I think.
Yeah, apart from our monthly meeting, there isn't another venue to just, chew the fat and shoot the shit. Like there isn't even the water cooler because we don't go in an office anymore. So you don't even get to meet with co-workers in person.
Well, and that's when Chris and I started doing this. We said, we don't care if we sit and talk to each other for an hour once a month. We'll just start doing it and see who comes out of the woodwork and where those things go. Because sometimes we have a theme, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's 2 of us, sometimes it's 20.
That's not what Chris said, Heather, when we talked the other day. He was like, I hope it's not just Heather on Wednesday.
I've heard him say that before too. He never hears what I say about him.
Now I'm exposing my personality. I'm a bit of a troublemaker too.
I love it. Exactly right.
We're gonna get along fine.
We're all in good company then. It's
Absolutely.
Good. Let the roast begin.
So true.
Well, I had a question. In terms of, I know we talked, like someone briefly touched on like just conferences. I think that was you, Chris. How much have your budgets changed going into 2020 in terms of like attending versus exhibiting? Like for me, I know that we're not going to jump to exhibit if like really like you get the benefit as an attendee. It's just like another platform to chat with people.
Yeah.
So has there been a change for any of you guys looking into like what you're committing to spend based off of what we got out of 2020 when this was fairly new?
Yeah, I love it. It's completely changed. We're not, so a lot of the events that we went to last year, we had to re-up for this year, like DAA, Scope, SCDM, and so on. So we're kind of already paid, but they're at least giving us the option to move that to 2021 or 22, and which is good. But the budget that we had allocated for exhibiting, and of course, and all the travel and hotel and food and all that stuff, for 2021, that's just all got pushed into digital. Not virtually exhibiting, but like digital advertising, paid advertising, webinars, which fortunately we're not tech savvy that we can do them ourselves, and then also attending. So not exhibiting at these online events, but actually just attending, and even there, because we're on the BD side, really the content is not why I'm going. So the price I pay for that ticket has to be in line with the level of networking we can do at that event.
Right.
So that like I think SCDM is still like $1,100 or something, $1,200 to attend.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's not 20,000 for a booth. But if they don't have the right networking opportunities in place, then even that ticket price is high. Because again, we're not there for the content. If you're there for the content,
what's your target CPL is the same way you look at a lead online, right? I mean, if your CPL is $200 and you can get 5 leads out of it, okay, maybe it's worth it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the budget didn't shrink. We kept the budget. We're just reallocating it because we know we're going to need it in 2022. We're probably going to be exhibiting again. But so we didn't want to shrink that budget for fear we wouldn't get it back the following year.
Right.
So we're just pushing it all digital. Yeah.
And spreading it out a little bit more too. I mean, there are a lot of places that pay to play and come.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free ones with a little more room around. There's a lot of free events. Or super discounted attendee events that even if you go for 20 minutes and you meet one person, your tickety boo, right? Costs $50.
Yeah, I did a couple of weeks ago. There was it was the Texas Life Sciences Forum. In Texas is there is a market there, but it was lower on our list of states to pursue. And this meeting came out of nowhere. It was free to attend, and we got 2 leads out of it already.
I wonder if the cities that are largely known for holding large conventions, and we all know which ones they are.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the tremendous amount of revenue dollars that were lost during this
pandemic.
And so they're probably having conference calls like this online, thinking like, what do we have to do to bring people back in person? And
that's a good point.
And like, how can we enrich their experience and make it cost effective, which is the point you were just making, so that by the time people fly here, have a few nights in a hotel and all the meals that go with it, it's like, we've got to make sure that this is a better deal for them to get business done than what they can do on Zoom, because they learned how to do the Zoom thing now.
Correct.
During the pandemic. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust their prices, or if they will.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully there's a nice little bounce there where we can get some better pricing on things for sure.
Yeah, just like Vegas subsidizes flights through the casinos.
Yeah.
Maybe
I've definitely seen
start subsidizing flights and discounted hotels.
I mean, I haven't seen anybody offer that yet, but I've certainly seen discounted attendance and discounted exhibits.
Yeah.
As an example, DIA last year, we were on the fence about exhibiting kind of last minute, and then when it switched virtual, this year, last year, I literally already think it's like last year.
Time's messed up right now.
It's really messed up. But we were, on the fence of exhibiting there. We were already planning to attend in person and just network and do all that because it's so massive. And then they were like scrambling at the end. They just started giving out, hey, well, here, have a free exhibitor. So we scrambled and scrambled and like put up our webpage and got, luckily we already have all the collateral from other places.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy to get up and launch. And it was just, it just wasn't, the networking function wasn't very great on the site there. And yeah, okay, it's like basically you have like a single web page where somebody could read your description and watch an embedded video that you put up there and download some collateral, but there's really no way to interact with you. You have your contact info, and yeah, they could schedule a meeting with you, but there's not really a way other than like, okay, you can look and only have access to the people that have granted themselves as visible. It's not like by default, all attendees are visible to everyone. It's like you have to kind of opt in. So then you're already at a smaller subsection. So that's an example of a bad experience that I've had.
Yeah.
But then recently, one of the smaller ones, I'm doing this one that for the first time in February called SCRS, the Society of Clinical Research Sites. And it's focused on oncology. It's a very smaller summit. It's only like a couple hundred people, maybe 1,000 at max. But a lot of the VP ClinOps, they're all there. Those are our key buyers. And, looking at that one, the reason why I exhibited versus just attended is because you have a dedicated 1 hour presentation slot where there's nothing else going on in the entire conference.
So you get the 1 hour, but it's like an exclusive hour in the agenda.
Exclusive hour. Now, of course, people can choose not to go.
Oh, yeah.
But then they're choosing to just work and do something else. If they're actually like, hey, I'm going to go and engage, there's nothing else happening. So like those are the types of things, Pearl, that I'm looking at is like, okay, that one I'm gonna choose to pay the extra $2,000 to versus just because I'm gonna have something.
Well, it's those types of features that the industry events have to factor in.
Right.
DIA, because they were so early in the year, they couldn't pivot fast enough, and SCDM did a very good job, we thought, in terms of creating value opportunities like that, and they had quite a few. You had to purchase each one individually, but when we added it all up, it was still the same price as if we were exhibiting in person. But like that event, we got a lot of exposure through these extra avenues, if you will, for getting the attendees in front of us. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet everyone. I do have to jump because I'm also like George dinners.
Yeah, no worries. But, it's the top of the hour. So we just want to wish you all a happy holiday.
Nice to meet you, Malachi.
Yeah, and it was good seeing you again. Prem, thank you for joining.
It's a very nice talk. I mean,
happy Christmas, everyone.
We will see what happens next year.
Yeah, we'll be scheduling more next year. So probably by the end of this week, we'll have the next year scheduled out. So yeah. Have a great time, everyone. We'll see you next year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, guys. Stay safe out there.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.